But so we're putting on this whole day event here that everybody's joining us. I see the room is getting filled, and you know it's a ticket drive. We want to sell all these amazing tickets to get people down to Tampa. So I want to encourage people to go to paulfestival.com. We have discounted tickets. Right now, you can get a 3-day pass for, let's just say, cheap. I mean, there's no better value for a festival like that. Any other festival you go to that's 3 days that would have the kind of lineup that we're putting together, you're looking at hundreds of dollars for tickets. I did the first annual Bonnaroo, went down there. I paid $140 for my ticket then. Now it's up to $270 for a ticket. We have $70 tickets for a 3-day pass. Are you kidding me? And then, of course, your Ronvoys. I mean, you want to look at a great way to get to Tampa for an inexpensive without being groped? Get on the Ronvoys, and you can check all that out. We've got a travel and lodging page up there. I know you've done a great job.
Bags.
Say that again?
I said we won't even search your bags.
No, I mean, you can do a strip search, but it's all voluntarily, of course, if you want to. I mean, we're not going to force it. But
I mean, we wouldn't stop anybody if they requested it, I guess. But
yeah, I hear you. Now, obviously, we know how we can get people to Tampa. We've got the Ronvoys. People need to sleep when they get there. What are all the you've done a great job of finding hotels, campgrounds, everything. So tell us about where people can stay, what people can do to get lodging while they're there.
absolutely. If you go to the Paul Festival website at paulfestival.org and go to the travel and lodging page, you can click on the hotels, the Tampa area button there. I mean, we have hotels as low as $40 a night there, $280 to stay all 7 nights for the Paul Festival and the RNC if you want to do that. You can't beat it in Tampa for that week. You really cannot. As far as camping is concerned, camping is going to take place at Camp Liberty. That is Jeff Griffin's amazing, amazing oasis of liberty that is just about 35 miles north of Tampa. It's going to be so cool. It's going to be amazing. They've also got entertainment and that type of thing being planned for the week following Paul Festival. But there is camping available on the fairgrounds for the weekend of Paul Festival. It's limited. I would recommend strongly that if you want to camp on the fairgrounds for Paul Festival, you get your tickets booked now. Those are going really fast.
Do we even have any available still?
I haven't checked recently. I wonder myself if we've still got some, but you can buy your combo ticket for the campground and the Paul Festival, or rather fairgrounds camping, and that's good for up to 8 people. So if 7 of their friends buy their Paul Festival tickets today and you buy the combo pass, all 8 of you can stay on the fairgrounds for the weekend of Paul Festival.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm going to be staying out at the fairgrounds, and then I think afterwards I'm going to get my butt over to Camp Liberty after the Paul Festival. For obvious reasons, I have to stay close to the festival because there's a lot of stuff to do there as far as one of the organizers go. But getting over to Camp Liberty with all the veterans that are going to be there, that are coming down with Adam Kokesh, all the great people, that's just where I want to get to right afterwards. That's where the real, that's not where the real, all of it's going to be real fun, whether you're talking about Paul Festival and the Camp Liberty. But that's the point. It's not, this is not really a protest, so to speak, as it is a celebration of liberty, a celebration of Dr. Paul and everything that he's done for this country. And to get out there with all these like-minded individuals and just, have great music, great speakers, great friends, great drinks. We're obviously serving beer at Paul Festival, so you will be able to get some beer. I think that was a must. I mean, how can you have a festival without beer? And I know that's been a big question here. In the chat room, I just, see that everywhere if we'll have beer. But yeah, people ask us all the time, who's speaking, who's performing at Paul Festival? And we have a great lineup. It's actually on our website. You can see it. But I think the real thing here is, when I say that doesn't matter, I don't mean it the way it sounds. This real point is just to get down there and show the unity, show how strong we are, how big of a movement this has become. I mean, when you look at what it was in 2008, Dr. Paul, his rally, with the exception of the Revolution March and Rally for the Republic, I don't want to say the crowds were small, because that's not the case. I mean, he still had bigger crowds than Giuliani, than McCain, and all those people. But when you look at it today, I mean, 5, 6, 7,000 people strong. When he goes and rents out a venue, and then he has to get a bigger venue because they sold out, and they can't accommodate everybody. That's just it's amazing to show how much this movement has grown and what it's becoming. So when you look at, if you look at 5,000 people around the country, at each state, everywhere Dr. Paul went, he had 5,000 people show up to his rally. Let's say that for an average number. If all 5,000 of those people from all 50 states get down to Tampa, that alone is a big number of people coming down in support of this message and what we're trying to do. And I know that number's bigger because it wasn't 5,000 per state. It was 5,000 per city that he went to. So when you add that to it, I mean, there should be no reason why we shouldn't have 250, 300,000 people strong down in Tampa supporting all this. You have Adam Kokesh going down there with all those veterans. The rides for Ron Paul, the all that stuff just happening. Why can't we have 300,000 people strong down there? Is there any reason for it?
I don't think so. Not at all. Everybody wants to be free. Freedom is popular, as Dr. Paul would say. And, we got, 20,000 people over to the Revolution March in 2008 for a one-day event to stand for liberty. And, I just can't imagine where else anybody would want to be that weekend. I really can't.
I don't know either. I mean, it just seems odd to me. But, it's funny. When we did the Revolution March, it was in July. It was hot. It was muggy, off in Washington, D.C. And you didn't notice it until the end because the lineup of speakers was just awesome. I mean, have Tom Mullen kick it off with his speech, G. Edward Griffin, Charles Goyette. To go down the list, I think G. Edward Griffin's one of the more memorable speakers to me there. Obviously I read the book The Creature from Jekyll Island, but I think he's such a great speaker. But on top of that, he is a great guy. I mean, with that heat and everything, he stood there all day talking to, the line of people who wanted to talk to G. Edward Griffin, and he stood there and he talked to them. And then he showed up at the hotel afterwards for the book signing. He sold out of his books. He autographed all his books. I mean, this guy did a good 12-hour day of meeting and talking to people, and I was exhausted. He had to have been exhausted without a doubt. And it's going to be the same at Paul Festival. We have all these great speakers, and most of them they're not big time, celebrities where they need these bodyguards and they need to be shielded, and they have this eccentric attitude or this I'm better than you attitude. I mean, they're all great people, and we've got a lot of great, a lot of them coming on our show throughout the day, Susan. That's the other great thing here. I mean, we have Peter Schiff, who's speaking at the event. He's coming on the show today. We have Scott Horton, Matt Larson. All these people are going to come on the show today, and they're going to be down at this event. And, it's all the more reason to stay in this room and hang out with us, because I'm not telling you the time Peter Schiff's coming on. I'm going to leave people sit in suspense and just wait for that. We have Jordan Page coming on later on, and I just told the guy, I said, you better have that acoustic guitar ready, because he's going to be playing us a song. And if you want to hear somebody who can just pick up a guitar on the fly and play a song, it's Jordan Page. But anyway, people are telling me it's not cool because I won't disclose when Peter Schiff is coming on. That's mean of me, isn't it?
I think that's hysterical. It's perfect.
Leaving you in suspense. Just, leave the browser running all day. You get to hear, we have other great people. I know Gigi Bowman's going to be joining us in not too far from it, and she runs that Liberty Candidates, which if you don't know about Liberty Candidates, it's a great organization. I think what they're doing over there is wonderful, because vetting people before they run for office or as they run for office is very important to know where they stand on these core issues. And I don't think most people do that. I think, as I talked about earlier, people just go and pull that lever to vote all Republican or vote all Democrat without knowing what the candidate stands for.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because there was a little bit of backlash when we announced that Governor Gary Johnson was going to be a speaker at Paul Festival, but I did want to mention that Gigi Bowman vetted him, and he passed, and he is a Liberty candidate.
Yes, he is. And, I talked to Ron Paul the other day, as you know. I know most people don't believe me when I say this. You talked to Dr. Paul? No way. And, it was to talk about Paul Festival and his event.
Name dropper.
But he's a wonderful person. And I know if you have not met Dr. Paul in person and had a chance to talk to him, you just take my word for it. This guy is just... He's not a rock star. I mean, I know he's treated like a rock star with where he goes and everything, but he is so down to earth and so easy, and he talks to me like we've been friends for years. which just tickles me pink. I get like little kid giddy when it happens. But we were talking treason, as I like to call it, politics, and I asked him, with him not doing any more runs for Congress after this. A lot of people are heartbroken. A lot of people are looking like, who do we turn to next? And, he dropped some names like Justin Amash and some other people out there. But what he made a point to say, because we talked about his core values and principles, and we talked about his voting record in this conversation. And he made it a point to say that obviously we're not all the same. Not all these people are going to be exactly like him. And the point there is that we've got to give some leniency to people. We can't expect everybody to be a Dr. Paul. Now, he didn't say it in those words. That's what I took out of it is, not everybody's going to be exactly like him when it comes to the voting record, when it comes to some of the positions on the issues. But when they're so close, when they have 3 of the 4 issues nailed down, we shouldn't reject them because they didn't have that 4th one nailed. You know what I mean? We should embrace them. We should talk to them. We should try to help them and bring them along to understanding that 4th issue that they're not completely on. And so when you bring up Gary Johnson and the backlash that we took, people said that Gary Johnson didn't want to end the Fed. Obviously, Judge Gray said right there on the interview, end the Fed. And Ron Paul knows this. I think Gary Johnson knows this. This is why Ron Paul's doing the audit the Fed, because trying to propose a bill, legislation, which he's done in the past to end the Fed, goes nowhere. But to get people to audit the Fed, to get other members in this country to start talking about, hey, why do we have this bank that issues our currency, but we know nothing about them? That's an important first step in ending the Fed, because once they're forced to open their books and we see the shenanigans they're doing, then it's real easy to get the conversation going to, hey, this really isn't working. Maybe we should end it. So as you bring up Gary Johnson and the backlash that we took from it, I think it's important, obviously we're not suggesting by having Gary Johnson there that people give up on Dr. Paul and the nomination. That's not what we're suggesting. But it is important to embrace him. And if there is an issue that he isn't with us on, if there is one of those issues, whether it be foreign policy or economics, to work with him, to talk to him and say, hey, Governor, we disagree with you on this policy here. I mean, one of the things that Judge said was if people attack our allies. I actually disagree with that. I don't think if somebody attacks France that we necessarily need to get our military up and go to war. What was that saying? Friends with all, alliances with none. Isn't that how it goes?
Absolutely. I think we do a good job of, I think that we started out doing a really good job of our, with our non-interventionist foreign policy initially when this country was founded, at no time would, I support going to war. War is a rich man's game with, and they use our military men as war fodder, and we know that, that's why even if I don't support the wars, I support the military, because they've been good enough to stand up and volunteer to fight for our country. But we want to make sure that when they do that, it's a situation where our country is actually the one who is being threatened, in my opinion, or has been attacked, I should say. Not even being threatened, I would guess. I wouldn't support. But I want to have our military here at home protecting our country. And, I think that's what they're there for. And, if someone attacked France, what can I say? They just elected a socialist president. So,
yeah. Well, it's the problem here that I see, obviously, is if you don't have a fiat system, it makes it much harder to have the decision to go to war. It makes the decision based on real decisions. And this is part of the Federal Reserve, as you pointed out. I mean, a bunch of bankers are financing both sides of the war and getting rich off of our young men and women dying for this. And that, to me, is the most sad thing about it. And most people out there don't realize or understand this. Because it's so easy these days to go to war. I mean, the money's just there. The feds will print it anytime we want it. And that's why we have to have these audit of the feds, and we have to understand the banking system and economics. And most people that I know who talk politics, they bow out of the conversation with me the minute I start bringing up economics in full force. I mean, they want to talk about, we need, a balanced budget and all that. And, I say, what good is it in a fiat system? When we have all this spending, what good? And when you hear people all the time saying, well, the solution to this is spend more money. Like, yes, it works in your personal life so well. You're in debt, you can't pay your credit card bill, so what do? You go get another credit card, and that solves your problem. It does, and people say, well, no. And I said, well, it doesn't work the same way with government either, you know. All these issues are very important.
I think it's so funny. I always try to tell people, the government doesn't actually have any money. They're not just sitting on money. That's your money and my money, and, so if that's what you want to spend your money on, go for it. But, I strongly disagree with, the idea that, war profiteers, can actually start wars. They do this all the time. They've been doing it throughout history, and they support both sides, like you mentioned. The idea that our citizenry volunteers for an army to keep our country safe, and that's the line they always throw out there, is that we're under some form of threat or whatever from another country, and we need to go attack them. I can't support it at all.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And it's funny because I said earlier that I used to be the George Bush neocon. So of course, 2001, September 11th, I was, one of those, go get them, let's go, let's just go after everybody in the Middle East. They're evil people. And as I stumbled down that rabbit hole, as I started really putting real thought into this, not just what the Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity were telling me, but real actual thought. I was using my own brain, if that amazes people out there. It's just, to do such a thing in this day of age is unheard of. It really started dawning on me, obviously what we talked about, the fact that people are getting rich off of other people's misery. And that's one of the most saddest things out there in all this. But I started to realize that, these Iraqis, these Afghanistan people, they're just like you and I. They get up in the morning, they put their pants on one leg at a time. And here we have all this, the government, the news, just helping us spew the hate for these people we've never met, we don't know, and it becomes okay to drop bombs on people. As long as we, turn on CNN, see it, say, oh, America, badass, go. Nobody can mess with us. And then we go back to, our daily grind and, stuck in traffic jams and think that we're just the greatest country in the world. And I'm not putting down America in the sense, if we go back to what we used to be as far as, when this country was founded, I think we are the greatest country in the world. But where we're at now, this is, we're at this point in our country, this tipping point, and people have to start using their minds. They have to stop listening to the Bill O'Reillys and the Sean Hannitys and start thinking for themselves.
That's
me
one
and
of
my,
the reasons. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
That's one of the reasons why I support Oath Keepers. I'm an associate member, and I love that we have men and women who understand the oath that they took to the Constitution and what it's there for. I can't imagine, like Adam and the veterans, for instance, the experiences they had over there. If people would take 5 minutes to talk to Adam Kokesh why he's against the war, they might better understand. I have friends who are in the military who came back and said they spent a year of their lives sitting on a plot of dirt playing video games, and that's what they did at war, and then I have other friends who, for instance, I have a wonderful friend who had both of his feet crushed and is now a pain pill addict and may never be able to get past the war that he participated in. It's horrible. It's not doing anything to help our country. Most importantly, the idea is that if it's ever necessary to go to war, the idea is that we don't stay in war perpetually for 100 years. We go over there and take care of business, but it all boils back to who's making money off of what. So
It does, and I'm reading the chat, and I think they're saying exactly what we say to everybody, which is educate yourself, start thinking for yourself, start reading and learning this stuff on your own. That's really where it's at. It frustrates me to no end to watch a lot of my family and friends, and I can tell exactly what TV news show they were watching when we start talking politics and they bring up a certain subject. I mean, it's just like, oh, so you watched this person or that person on CNN today. I understand. I know where you're getting it from. But the other thing that amazes me, I've got some friends, and a lot of us are history buffs. We love to read history, particularly American history. And one of my friends, him and I really do a lot of talking about World War II. We trade a lot of books. He's got a lot of memorabilia that he's collected from that era, things like that. And he's really into it, as am I. But the one thing that him and I are different, and I always bring up, he never talks about, he never questions, where did the money come from World War II? Who financed it? How did Hitler get to power? It wasn't just a couple beer hall pushes and some great speeches. My friend never really wants to talk about the economic side of it. He does not understand how the same bankers financed us and Germany. That kind of thing. You look at what Germany threw at the war effort, what Japan threw at the war effort, the amount of money that doesn't come, just by taxes on the citizens there. It doesn't happen that way. Somebody financed this. And most people that talk and understand and read history or say they like history, they don't get into that aspect of it. And even when you watch these news programs and they bring on these historians, the historians don't ever bring it up. You watch the guests that Bill O'Reilly or somebody has on, and they never bring up the banker side of things. They bring up the evils that Hitler did. They bring up the evils that Stalin did. But they never talk about the financiers of this. They never bring that part up. And I've had friends tell me, I asked, where did Hitler get the money? Oh, well, from conquering other countries and taking their wealth. No, that's how he built the Eagle's Nest and had all that great stuff that he had, but that's not how you finance a war such as that. And that's been the biggest problem. As you know, in the Roman times, they did what they called chipping the coin, which was starting to produce coins and then chipping it. It's pretty much the primitive form of fractional reserve banking there. They have to do that kind of stuff to finance these wars because you can't get it just through taxing your citizens. And if you could, no citizen would put up with war because you'd be taxing them at 80-90% to finance this, and even then you'd still be asking for more on wars of that scale. So that's, I think, the biggest thing is people don't question this stuff deep enough. They don't dive deep enough into the subject.
I could not possibly agree with you more about that. There are some topics that I'm a pretty outspoken person, but there are some topics that I'm not sure, if I should bring them up and remind people of, what we're talking about here, the reality of the situation. The history of America. I'm Native American. So I have my own understanding of the history of America and how this country was founded. Now I probably have a different, view of, government as a result of that, or certainly of the, U.S. government. And, but I love this country, with regard to war and the bankers and who financed Hitler and all of that, the conditioning that takes place in our public school systems with regard to.
Uh-oh. We lost her just like that. That's not cool. All this wonderful technology, and right in the middle of a good conversation, she drops off. Hopefully we can get her back on pretty quick and continue this. Why we're waiting for her to come back on and do this, I know I watch all the time over here, the chat. New people keep joining us all the time. People are coming and going, and we appreciate everybody who's been sticking around and being part of this. Fiat dollars are pretty much worthless, and having said that, I know exactly the best thing you can do with your worthless fiat dollars. You can go to paulfestival.com. You can get a 3-day pass to Paul Festival down in Tampa, and you will have done a much better justice for yourself there by getting a 3-day pass than keeping those fiat dollars, because that ticket is much more valuable than those couple of dollars that the Federal Reserve printed for you. And we know times are tight for a lot of people out there. The economy's not great. A lot of people are having a hard time out there. And so, getting a ticket, getting down to Tampa might not be easy for everybody. But when you look at it, you can do this. You can get your ticket, $70 discounted price for a 3-day pass. We do have single-day passes discounted as well if you only want to go for 1 day. But get your ticket, and then the next time start working on getting your Ronvoy. Ronvoys were going to be organized all the way up until the very last minute. So you can do this in stages. You don't have to put out the big expense all at once. You can get your ticket, then you can get on and get part of the Ronvoy. If you prefer to fly, there are discounted airline fares out there. I know JetBlue and Southwest have been running some very, very good deals lately. So if you prefer the TSA pat down, you can check out those airlines if they're in your city. And I do believe both of them go to Tampa. I know Southwest does. I'm not sure about JetBlue, to be honest with you, but you can go online and check it out. So, looking at that, do this in stages. Get your Paul Festival ticket. Get down there. Ron Paul's holding an event Sunday. We're going to be streaming his event at our event. His event does not hold the amount of people our event holds. So the large percentage of people that go to our event won't be able to get into his event. His tickets are limited. So we'll stream his event at our event. So you'll still be able to take part in his event and watch it. But this is not just about Dr. Paul and one event. This is about getting down to Tampa, being part of this entire process. That's really where this comes into. So get your tickets, get down there, be part of this. We have some great vendors. I mean, we have a building set aside just for vendors. We have some gold and silver coin dealers coming on board to be vendors there. We have some political artists that are vendors there. I don't know about you guys, but I love beef jerky, and we have this great vendor who is going to be selling his homemade beef jerky at the event. And I haven't tried it yet, but friends of his I've talked to and says that he makes the best beef jerky out there. And I know you're probably thinking, wow, go all the way to Tampa just for beef jerky? Yes, that's what I was told. I was told to tell you guys to go to Tampa and be part of this, just for the beef jerky. That's all I can say. Looks like Susan's having some trouble here and logging in, so she will be joining us hopefully sometime later on the day. Get her back in here because I always enjoy talking to her and want her to be part of this. So, Susan, if you're out there, get back in here as soon as possible. I'm telling her, don't stay away forever. All right, well, we've got some more people. I'm going to see if we can get Gigi Bowman in here a little early, get started with that, and get that moving. Now, Gigi's got a lot of great stuff going on. Hello, I see everybody in the chat room coming on board saying hello. I want to welcome everybody who is just coming in. This is our ticket drive for Paul Festival. All started at blowback2012.com. Check that site out. Eric Nordstrom helped put that up for us. If you don't know, Eric Nordstrom is probably one of the originators of the money bomb that started way back in the day and has become such a thing in this movement that everybody seems to do them, including Ron Paul. So, yeah, Gigi, I know, said that she wants to know if we can have people ask questions, and I am more than willing to take questions. You can ask them in the chat, or if you have a microphone, you can hit the start broadcasting. I'll bring you on for a minute or two to talk, to ask some questions and to talk if you have any. My name is Bryan Seimon. I am one of the organizers of Paul Festival, and there's many organizers out there. We have Deb Robinette. She was with me at the Revolution March. She helped with that event, and she's now part of this event. Susan Wolfe, as you know, who was on the show, she was with us and helped organizing this. We have Jay Kim. He's kind of a newbie to the movement, but he's really awesome. We enjoy having him part of the team. He does a great job. We have Tom Porter. Tom Porter was with us at Revolution March in 2008, and he now does he's on the board and does the IT for us. So that great website we have at paulfestival.com is from Tom Porter, and we thank him for that. We have Stephanie Capraro. She is, relatively new to the movement as well, and she's doing a great job over here on the board. So that is our team. We have a lot of great other volunteers part of this. I could probably spend all day just naming all our volunteers. It's been a great group of people who have volunteered to help out for this, and I can't thank them enough for joining this, for volunteering and being a part of this. It's been wonderful to work with everybody, and they're just awesome. Have a couple people who have wanted to chime in and ask some questions. Like I said, I'll bring you on. You can ask a couple questions here if you have them, and we'll move on to the next. So see if as long as microphones are working. Hello there. It looks like I have John. Is that who it is? John?
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, John. How's it going today?
Hey, Brian. I'm the artist that did the large Ron Paul banner up in Worcester.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to confirm that you guys might be interested in using that.
Yes, we do. We are interested in that. how much lead time do you need as far as are you bringing it down with you or are you shipping it down?
I don't know if I know that Chris Carnes is definitely gonna make it down, but I just wanted to speak to somebody about the details of where it would be hung. So if there's
We
anything I need to add to it, because
what's the size of it again? I know you told me before.
it's 18 feet wide and 25 feet in length, maybe a little shorter, probably about 24.
It's just a big Ron Paul banner. It's actually got his face on it, right?
Yeah, it's hand painted. It was I put it on the side of the building in Worcester for primary day and also for the weekend of the caucus. So I would love to be able to donate it to Paul Fest.
Yeah, we appreciate the donation. We have, as you entered the gate that everybody will be entering in it, you'll be facing the two buildings. The one indoor building that we have is for the stage with bands and performers, and then we have the vendor building that's attached to it. That building is huge, and we can hang banners from it. So what we're going to want to do is put your banner right there at the front and hang it off that building. So we do have a place for it.
I mean, I just want to make sure that it's ready to be hung. Do you have any pictures of that building or?
No, but Deb Robinette is going down there soon, and she's going to get pictures and everything. So once we have that, I want to say next week she's going down, and she'll get more information of the venue and everything and come back with some pictures. So I think late next week or the week after that, I can get you a little bit more information regarding that.
Cool. So, I mean, it's going to be where people are coming into the concert then?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it will be at a prime location, a really good location. I think that's awesome, and we do appreciate donating that down there for us. That will be great.
No problem. I just want to, I definitely wanted to get as much mileage out of it as possible, and if it can help you guys, then I'm all down.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. Now, Chris Carnes is great. He's been a big supporter of this, and it's so awesome that you guys are supporting the event like you are and everything. But he's been yelling at you there in the chat. He says you don't have a beard, so you're not welcome on the video.
Oh, it's cut short, you scumbag. Liberty caveman.
Yeah, Chris Carnes is doing that Liberty Love Fest. Are you doing that with him?
Yeah. I helped out with the last event, and I helped do a lot of the interior design for it. So yeah, I mean, we're still trying to continue our events up in Worcester as well, since we have that the 8th floor of that building. So
okay.
We're trying to put on different venues and speaking engagements, and just trying to keep it moving.
Go ahead while you're on and tell everybody a little bit about Liberty Love Fest, how it got started, where they can get information on it. I mean, our whole goal is to support all the Liberty events and everything that goes on with Liberty, so please.
Liberty Love Fest group page on Facebook that anybody can check out. But back in April, we had access to the 8th floor of the Bradley Osgood building, where Campaign for Liberty had been working for the past couple of years. So we decided to put on an event to raise money for the delegate process. And on April 28th, we actually, many people know that we got 16 of the 21 delegates, and then the Mass Geo in that event was to raise money, and we had musicians, and we had a silent art auction, and we had vending tables, and we were raising money to send the delegates down to Florida. And now, as many people know, the Massachusetts GOP came in and replaced everyone because they wouldn't perjure themselves with that affidavit. So, Liberty Love Fest started out of that initiative to raise some money for the delegate and the delegate process, and now we're just continuing putting on events for musicians and speakers to come there and just continue spreading the message of liberty. And
well, after Paul Fest is over, I would definitely like to come on and help you guys in any way possible that you need help with.
That'd be great. The main thing that I am really trying to garner out of this is Worcester Mass is a big college town, and it would be great to start getting a dialogue with college students who are completely. I notice a lot of there tends to be a lot of young people there's still a big section of people that are completely clueless as to what's happening in our country and our world. I think it's all about getting more and more outsiders into this to learn about, how our liberties and freedoms are being eroded, hourly by the day. And it's such a good opportunity with Worcester to get, the colleges and the local people involved, not just speaking to the choir. as it might go sometimes. I mean, we have a big contingency of people in the Ron Paul and Liberty movement, but it's all about getting more and more people that weren't aware of it involved.
Yeah, and that's great. Like I said, Paul Festival supports every Liberty festival out there. We want to make that, one thing to just tell everybody to get involved. Whether you can just show up and support the something like Liberty Love Fest just by showing up and being part of it, or whether people volunteer to help you guys with things there. I think it's just important to stay active and involved. These festivals, these rallies have their importance in a movement. I think they really do. When we did the Revolution March, we got questioned a lot. People said, well, what's the point? This doesn't affect change. You know what I mean? You do this rally in D.C. tomorrow, you wake up, the politicians are still going to be corrupt. The rally, these fests are not about waking up tomorrow and thinking that D.C. is automatically going to change. What I think it does, and this is my opinion, and I spoke about this at Freedom Palooza a couple weeks ago, is it helps show that you're not alone, that there are people out there who understand the issues like you do, that you're not fighting this fight alone, that you get to meet new people, you get new ideas on how to approach things. I never, before Revolution March, never thought about the things with sheriffs and how important a sheriff is to this movement. It never occurred to me. After meeting people, talking to people about this, I started learning more about the process of the sheriff and the power that they have and what they can do to help the cause of liberty in a local area. So to me, that's why these things like Liberty Love Fest, Paul Festival are important, because you start meeting people who have other ideas. You start meeting people who are like-minded. And of course, Paul Festival, we're not doing this to get paid. I know everybody sees these ticket sales. They can do the math and figure out, if we sell 20,000 tickets at $70 a piece, the kind of revenue that we'll bring in. But there's also a big, huge revenue to put this event on as well. And I know even when you do smaller events like you guys, there's money that needs to be raised to put these events on. But what we're doing, and I know you guys, as you said, you guys try to raise money to support delegates and other Liberty candidates. We're the same thing. All the money raised from this is not going into our pockets. We're turning it back out to the Liberty movement. And, we're going to support Liberty candidates that are out there that need money to run for office. We're going to support Liberty events. Our whole goal with the money is to turn it back out to the Liberty movement, not put it in our pockets.
Now, Ron Paul is speaking the same day at a university on when the Liberty Fest is taking place, or is there any time he's gonna be able to come by and make a guest speaking engagement, or is there any word on that?
We're working on it with them. I've talked to Ron Paul several times since Paul Festivals happened. He called me a couple weeks ago, told me that he thought this idea of Paul Festival was a great idea, and he thanked us for putting it on. Told me that he was considering putting on an event there, and obviously, as you know, he now is putting an event. He basically wanted to put on an event kind of like they did in Minnesota as far as that goes, and so that's why he's doing it. His chances of showing up at Paul Festival, it's not ruled out. He said publicly that he's only going to speak at one event. That does not mean he won't show up, make an appearance at Paul Festival, do meet and greets, and support it. And we actually expect sometime soon for him to send out a public statement, supporting Paul Festival. As
he's officially. Is he officially on the ballot now for the RNC convention? I mean, I know that just came out that he had a plurality of the delegates needed for state delegates to get on the RNC ballot. So
it's funny, and I'll probably talk about this again today with Josh Tolley, and that's fine to talk about it several times because we're going to have new people in and out. When I talked to him Monday, I asked him about that. I said, look, I'm reading Ben Swann's report, or listening to Ben Swann's report. I'm reading other independent news stories on the internet. Everybody says that you have the 5 states. Do you now have the 5 states? And he said they still don't have the 5 states. He said that his campaign does not have them counting that he has the 5 states. And he even said that he's heard stories that they've had 11 states, and he'd like to know which 11 they are. So to answer your question, the campaign believes that they do not have the 5 states to be on the ballot.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, and he didn't say it in a discouraging way. The one thing about it is he was upbeat the whole time. He really just talked about how much this movement has grown and how proud he is of the grassroots. I know there's been a lot of rumors out there, people saying that the campaign hates the grassroots, the campaign hates the grassroots. I did not get that indication from Dr. Paul at all. He mentioned the grassroots several times. He talked about how proud he is of the grassroots and how important the grassroots is to the cause of liberty and furthering this cause of liberty. And he truly believes that people are going to continue on after he gets out of office to really move this forward, that there's a lot of great people, young people who got involved, not just to get him on the ballot and get him elected, but to get involved to actually make real change in this country. So he's very optimistic about everything. He does not seem to be at all down and out about not having the 5 states. And once again, he believes that they don't have the 5 states.
Well, there's still going to be a big presence at the convention, so that's a positive aspect. I'm curious to see how much they're going to mute out certain times during, speeches when Romney will be war hawking it, and it'll be interesting to see how different elements of the crowd react.
It really will be. And I think anybody who's not too new to this movement really understands how much the media and everybody marginalizes Dr. Paul and his message. I mean,
so frustrating.
It's more funny to me when I see people who actually act shocked about it, when they still talk about it like it's something new. You know what I mean? When somebody comes on the chat room or forum and says, "Oh, the media didn't report this," or "the media said that," and I'm just like, "Are you actually shocked, or are you just saying it just to say it out loud?" Because I'm never shocked anymore.
Well, I mean, I've seen how effective the media ignoring him is to the layman who's not really that engaged with what's happening in the political process. It is pretty effective. Most people, they just sort of write Ron Paul off just because they don't have that on that sort of subconscious level. They're not seeing him pumped up all the time the way they'll pump up Romney or another mainstream candidate. So they just sort of write him off whenever, if the media is paying attention to it, then they're electable. But if the media ignores them, then they surely aren't. And it's also pretty powerful, unfortunately. But I just don't see how much longer they can continue this type of game without, the way things are going. It's like these people are absolutely hell-bent on collapsing everything. I mean, they are so desperate to hang on to their power that they don't realize that they're going to go down with the very ship that they're going to take down. And it's going to take a course of like drastic changes. We can't continue on this agenda. I mean, I can't believe it's lasted this long, to be honest with you. I mean,
yeah, it's amazing. And we've during Paul Festival, we've got to talk to other people that surround Dr. Paul. We've talked to Debbie Hopper. Jeff Deist is his chief of staff at his congressional office, who I got to talk to. And all of them talk about the absolute corruption in the Republican Party and what you just said, the power grab, or the fact that they're not willing to give up power. They're not laying down. In fact, they resent us people coming in and trying to take their power, and they're fighting it with everything that they have to make sure that they don't lose power. And people need to understand that's what we're up against here. I mean, these are people who do not want to give up power. And like you said, they don't realize that they're going to go down with the ship, and we can't convince them otherwise. But that is our fight right now. These people will not give up power. They absolutely do not want to give up power. Some of these people, even at the local and state levels, don't make a lot of money. It is really about the power of it all. It's not necessarily just about the money. It's about the power. Maybe as they enhance their career, they'll know that they get a payday out of it. I mean, heck, what's the best way to become a millionaire in this country is, get elected to Congress.
Yeah, lifetime pension.
Yeah, exactly. But
for 2 years, and you get paid out for life.
Yeah, exactly. And then all the lobbyists giving you all their money and all that stuff, all the things with these super PACs going on. It's just unreal with this country. I got to imagine the founding fathers are rolling over in their graves at this point. But it's amazing to talk to people around the Ron Paul campaign and people who know him closely, and of course talk to Dr. Paul himself and get that perspective. I mean, there is no love lost between them and the Republican Party at all. They know the Republican Party doesn't like them, and they don't particularly like the Republican Party too much. They work within that system because that's one of the keys to Dr. Paul's success. You don't become the chairman of the committees he become by not working in one of those two major parties. So to have Dr. Paul in the Republican Party and do what he's done, look how far we are now with his audit the Fed bill and how far along that's come. And it wouldn't have come that far had he not worked inside that party. But he doesn't like the party, and the party doesn't like his followers, without a doubt. They do not like us. That is very clear.
Well, I want to mention one of the other projects I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be starting a Kickstarter proposal where I want to rent out billboards. And I'm going to just start with one billboard, the type of billboards that are on the side of the road. But I want to design an image called Got Tyranny. And it's going to be a combination of Romney and Obama. And it's basically going to be a juxtaposition and a collage of, I want to raise money to rent one of these billboards and then pay the printer to install it up there because, you rent these billboards, you don't really have to get a message approved or an advertisement approved. They just want to have somebody paying for them. But I want to raise funds through Kickstarter to eventually start with one. And it would be great to sort of have these start popping up all over the country because we really don't have, this is an illusion. This is just such a poor charade of a facade of having a choice between Obama and Romney. And I think if we, one of the other projects that I want to do is to start getting images like this on billboards up across the country. So, I need to put the design together, but I would love to work with everyone and people within the Ron Paul movement to help get the word out about this Kickstarter campaign once I have it together. It'd be great to have something like this up. Imagine having something like this up in Tampa. Imagine having something up like this during the DNC. I mean, we just need to put an eye on, there's this great scene from Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor where he's trying to spend all his money and he just, at the end, he's like, vote none of the above. And it's getting to the point right now, no matter, these people are so duplicitous and so criminal, they subvert every step of the process. And it's getting to a point right now where if people if they weren't to participate in the corruption, that would be another, that would almost be as powerful as the vote. So it's just putting that idea, putting the idea in people's heads to just say, hey, let's admit that it's tyranny. We need to start right there. Let's grow up and admit that we have tyranny. Whether it's we get Obama out of office or Romney comes in, not much is going to change with Romney. I mean, he's a total establishment hack. But,
Preaching to the choir there, I think. But yes, I agree. I think the consensus in the chat room is this, that you'd raise money so much faster for the billboards if you had a beard.
It's right here, Collins, you caveman.
Hey, John, I got some other people lined up here who want to come on and ask some questions, but I appreciate you coming on and talking to us, and really appreciate that banner. If people don't know,
I'll just coordinate with Chris Carnes, and if you can just get me some details on where it's hanging, so any changes or fixes I need to make to it, I'll do that for you, and I'm totally psyched that I can donate this.
Yeah, is there any web address that people can go and look at this awesome banner?
You can go to my website is John Allen Art, like it's spelled on my screen name, johnallenart.com, and if you just Google Ron Paul banner, Massachusetts, huge Ron Paul banner, it's it was reported by the Daily Paul and Reason magazine, but it's up on my homepage to my website.
It is awesome for those who have not seen it, and it's going to be awesome to have it at Paul Fest.
It was definitely a labor of love, and I'm totally thrilled to be able to have the opportunity to share it with more people.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And Chris Carnes said I have to let you go because you have to be working. He seems like he's just as much a slave driver as my team.
He's a motivator. He'll stand around and get you to work your ass off.
Well, what my team does, they don't let me sleep. The only time I get to eat is when they throw me some bread and water. It's brutal over here at Paul Fest.
Yep. Well, this is all labor of love, blood, sweat, and tears, and we're doing everything we can to stop this train from going off the tracks.
Yeah, exactly. So appreciate you coming on. Hey, you're around a little later. You're welcome to come back on as well.
Hey, Brian, it was great meeting you.
Great, thank you.
Take care.
Yep, you too. All right. Thank you, John Allen. That was great. You guys got to check out his banner. Google it. He can put the web address in the chat room if he wants. Pretty cool. I keep getting this question if Dr. Paul is speaking at Paul Festival. Dr. Paul has said publicly that he is only speaking at one event at Tampa, and that is his event. So as of now, Dr. Paul is not speaking at Paul Festival. The point of Paul Festival, we actually never had that much expectation of him speaking there. We thought it'd be great if he did, but we're here to honor him, and that's the point of this event, is to bring liberty together. So if all you're concerned about is Dr. Paul speaking at it, you're going to miss a lot of great performers and a lot of great speakers, if that's your only concern. Dr. Paul's event is going to be outside of Tampa, not too far, I believe in St. Petersburg, if I remember it correctly. We can hold over 50,000 people at our event. His event has about 12,000 people. We're going to be streaming his event at our event. So having said that, there's all the more reason to go there. I see rumors in the chat room that Dr. Paul won't be at our event because we have certain guests being at our event. This has not been portrayed to me by Dr. Paul in our conversations at all. Dr. Paul and the campaign do have their own agenda, and they are going to act that out, and I don't blame them. In my conversations with him, I am completely supportive of his agenda and what he wants to do and why he wants to do it. The biggest goal that he has is to thank and honor the delegates that work so hard to become delegates. And the delegates at his event will have a VIP area, a special area for seating, for treatment there, and that is the point of his event, is to really just thank all the people who got involved. So, you know, Dr. Paul supports our event. He has told me that personally. I just want you to know that, and I think, you know, the key here is to get down to Tampa, take part in both events, support both events, support all Liberty events. That is the important thing to do. So that's, you know, obviously this question will come up more during the day with other people, and I will gladly answer that question as it comes along. Bringing on with me now, who's been patiently waiting, and we've only got about 7 minutes. We've got another guest coming on here soon. But I've got Carlos Beltran. Can you hear me, Carlos?
Yeah, how's it going, man?
It's going good. The mic is hot. There you are. You even got a face and a mustache.
Yeah. How's it going? Hey,
it's going good.
Couple of good questions here. One, there's been a lot of talk with people regarding why not have Gary Johnson do a panel discussion where he's able to speak with several other liberty-minded candidates or activists along with his vice presidential pick there, and have more of a panel discussion where he's able to have a question and answer session as opposed to a speaking at us type of an event. And that's what a couple of people have asked and been wondering why it wasn't set up that way, and that maybe Paul might have come if it wasn't proposed so much by the libertarian folks that Gary Johnson was the head speaker, you know.
Well, first of all, Gary Johnson is not the head speaker there. We've got a lot of great speakers at this event, and he is by far not our headlining speaker. That's not to say anything towards Gary Johnson other than, you know, to squash that rumor. The panel was not discussed with anybody, mostly because I don't think the idea really came up. I can tell you this, when I talked to Dr. Paul before we invited Gary Johnson to speak, I asked him his thoughts on having Gary Johnson speak there, and he thought it was a great idea. So Gary Johnson has no effect on Dr. Paul's appearance or not at this event. In fact, Dr. Paul told me his respect for Gary Johnson, thought it was great that we could have Gary Johnson at this event, because Dr. Paul can't have him at his event as long as he's running it as a Republican event. It would not look good to Dr. Paul and what he's got to do at the Republican Party still. So he thought that having that degree of separation between us and the campaign it allows us to have some of these great speakers at our event that Dr. Paul would think is a great speaker. As far as panelist discussion go, we have when I say limited indoor space, I want to stress that one of the indoor arenas holds 12,000 people, but that is where we have a lot of speakers and bands. Okay, so it would be hard to have some kind of panelist discussion there with the amount of speakers and bands we have lined up. We wouldn't have time for it. So we couldn't put them in the back of that room because a band would just, you know, drown that out. The vendor hall, we do have an area set up, and it might be possible to do it there. I don't know, you know, we'd obviously have to, there's other people who are talking about having different kind of panels and different kind of training sessions, things like that. So we just got to see if it can work in the schedule and if people would be interested in something like that. Obviously, they're all for a meet and greet and to talk to people and to let people know about their campaign and what their ideas are. So I don't think that's a problem with their campaign at all.
That was just one thing that people had asked, and another thing, you were talking about camping after the Paul Fest at the what'd you call it, Liberty Camp or Camp Liberty?
Camp Liberty.
Is that because of the RNC, or is that going on even after the RNC finishes?
I don't know if it's going on after the RNC finishes. It's private land, so I don't know. I don't have the answer. Susan Wolfe, when she comes back on later, can probably answer that question. I know it's going on during the festival and during the RNC. How long after the RNC ends it goes on, I can't answer that.
And then one last question. What is your opinion of Jesse Benton and the latest revelations by Adam Kokesh regarding Mr. Benton?
I actually don't know any of that. I don't. I am friends with Adam. Adam will be at our event. I am happy to have Adam at our event. I actually don't watch his show a lot for no other reason, not because I'm against his show. I just generally forget to tune in or forget about it and only catch pieces here or there. As far as Jesse Benton goes, I don't know Jesse Benton. Only know what I hear the movement say about Jesse Benton, and to me that's hearsay. So I have really no opinion on Jesse Benton. So my point of view is this: if I trust Dr. Paul to be president of the United States, then I generally trust who he picks to be as his staff and who he surrounds himself with. So from that point of view, you know, I'm going to give Dr. Paul the benefit of the doubt, and if he trusts Jesse Benton, then I'll trust Jesse Benton. With Adam Kokesh and Jesse Benton's little squirrel, I've only heard bits and pieces about it, and I think that's between them, and I'll leave it between them and let them have it out.
Right on, man. I just had to ask you because I know that I know I've talked to you in the past, or I've seen you talk in the past about Adam Kokesh and how you know him personally and stuff in different forms. So I wanted to ask you about that. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yep, thank you for coming on. All right. You know, also when Adam Kokesh comes on, I think we're going to have the most righteous beard competition. He'll probably win because he started it before mine. So you know, but we'll still work on it. Somebody said that Adam shaved his beard, so I might now win the most righteous beard competition here. We got a couple minutes. I know Christina Tobin from Free and Equal is coming on, and so is Adrian Moore. See if I can get Christina to come on here a few minutes early. You know, this is a festival, so when we're talking about having all these panels and all these different things that Carlos asked, one thing we got to stress is we're really trying to load this with speakers and entertainers. Not that we won't have some classroom activities and things like that, but keep in mind this is a festival, and the point is to have a good time, to listen to some good music, and to listen to some great speakers. And I think we have a great lineup of both. If you haven't gone to it, you know, it's been a while since I plugged it. So I'm going to plug it again because I know I see new people entering in the room. Some of the old people are probably getting tired of this, but the plug is going to happen all day. This is a ticket drive for Paul Festival. We have discounted our tickets, so you guys can get a better pricing to get the Paul Festival. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, and we just want you to get there. So go over to paulfestival.com. You won't miss it, where you can purchase tickets. We've got daily passes and a 3-day pass, and we encourage you to pick up the 3-day pass because I think that's the better value. We have everything just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday leading up to the RNC is just going to be nothing but fun. Great bands, the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Ron Keel, to name a few. You can also check our program out over at paulfestival.com. And I encourage you to do it. You know, Tatiana Moroz, Jordan Page, Rebel Inc., Circle to Circle. We have more bands coming, by the way. Without a doubt, there is more bands coming. So this is not, what's on our program guide is not the final program. We have more speakers, more bands coming. It is just going to be great. It's going to be exciting. I see somebody popping up here wanting to join me on this broadcast. Oh, yes, we have Christina Tobin. Welcome. Mike, got to get that mic on. We can't hear you. Oh, open up the mic or push to talk.
Does that work?
Yeah, there you are. Did you change your hair?
Quite often.
Yeah, quite often. I see a lot of down the side there. What'd you do?
Just a little swipe to the side. So.
Okay. Introducing Christina Tobin, for those of you who don't know her, she runs Free and Equal. She started that. When did you start that?
Oh, I would say probably back in 2008, but I've been an election reform activist since 18 years of age, 1998. So I'm 30
wow.
years now.
All right. Well, you know, I'm the old man here then, so thank you very much. Tell us about Free and Equal real quick. What it does, what you do there. Oh, your mic. Got to get that back on.
We're a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to bringing together a grassroots movement across the spectrum to unite against the establishment, per se, to remove special interest money from the electoral process, to inspire candidates to run for office, to opening the debates, to removing voter fraud, to getting rid of ballot access barriers. We are essentially a true all-partisan organization that wants to reform the electoral system throughout the United States.
That's awesome. I mean, it's, you know, that organization is very important to that cause, and I think it's a great thing that you're doing over there with it and being part of that. Free and Equal obviously is one of the top sponsors here at Paul Festival, and Christina has been helping out for a while now with a lot of different aspects of Paul Festival, including a lot of the press releases that go out, with helping with some guests and you know, some of the talent that we have going on there. So, you know, that we appreciate all the help that you've given us and all the help that Free and Equal has provided to Paul Festival. It's been wonderful to have you guys part of the team over here. You know, and the question I've been trying to ask other people, and I didn't get to. I had this plan for, I think, almost every guest, and I didn't get to ask Judge Gray and Susan Wolfe. You know, she jumped off on me here. When did you learn about Dr. Paul? What was your first Dr. Paul experience?
Well, I come from, you know, politics, like I said, since I was probably yay at age. My father ran for governor in Illinois back in '98 as a libertarian, and I started to become familiar with Ron Paul, you know, during the 2000s, you know, a decade or so ago. And his purity, his heart is pure. And I feel that nothing will get in the way from seeing what Paul Festival is truly about. We're about something, about, you know, of course, acknowledging praise, recognition for Ron Paul, but this movement is bigger than Ron Paul. And Ron Paul is such a selfless individual, and I know he will see that this movement is much bigger about Ron Paul, about uniting across the spectrum. I know that he's going to the GOP, you know, the RNC, to pay his respects to the delegates. He should, but it appears that he has learned that the two-party system is, in fact, rigged, rotten to the core. The two-party system doesn't work. Look what they did to him, from voter fraud to, in the past, ballot access barriers, to Gary Johnson not getting in the debate, Ralph Nader not getting into the debate. So I think the world of Ron Paul. I look forward to our paths crossing in the future. He is one of many of our supporters who endorse free and equal elections, from Ron Paul to Ralph Nader to Gary Johnson to Chuck Baldwin to the co-chair of the National Green Party. So I think very highly of all these leaders equally, and it's my role to bring them together through free and equal elections, working with paulfestival.org, Bryan, Deborah, Susan Wolfe. It's been so wonderful meeting such kind-hearted, truly passionate, some of the best leaders in the all-partisan grassroots movement throughout the United States I've ever encountered. And so, yeah, I think the world of Ron, and I look forward to sitting down and having a chat with him someday.
Excellent. Two things here. If you look right below the chat, where you would type in the chat, you see sounds. If you can click that box, we hear a lot of the beeping when people are chatting up in there. And there's some people who asked if you have ability to turn your mic up. You're kind of a little low on the volume there, so I don't know if you have the ability on your side to turn your mic up a little bit.
There, that should be better.
Sounds a little better to me. We'll let the chat respond to that, since they're the ones. I've got the headset on, so I can hear everybody clear as day.
And the sound is stopped now, too.
Yeah, it seems like you're coming in and out. There's a little bit of your voice goes high and then goes low as far as volume goes. So it's just technology. You know, Judge Gray, we had some problems over there with his connection. Susan's been having trouble on her end. I think it's great that, you know, we can put everybody on video and chat like this and have multiple videos. But every once in a while, it's just so many factors that get involved with trying to get the audio set perfectly and get everything done right. So I hope everybody in the chat room bears with us as we work this stuff out. You know, for me,
thanks for the heads up there.
Yeah, not a problem. You know, for me, it was about 2007, and my friend Ray Powell, him and I always talked politics together. And, you know, we were debating Michael Bednarik at the time and some other people. And he brought up this guy, Ron Paul. And, of course, you know, being the friend that I am of Ray, I always reject the first thing he says to me and wait. But he shot me over Freedom to Fascism, the Aaron Russo documentary, the one about the tax system. And obviously that's when I first heard Ron Paul speak. And back then, really passionate about the IRS and ending the IRS. And I still am, not that that's changed, but that was one of the key points for me back in the day. So when I heard this guy, Ron Paul, speaking about the tax system in the IRS, I was kind of sold, and that's where I got involved. And then one day, not long after that, Ray called me up and said, "Hey, you want to do a radio show with me on Ron Paul Radio?" And I said, "Sure, let's do it." And that's where it all began for me as far as Dr. Paul. And as I keep saying throughout the day, that's how I kind of stumbled down that rabbit hole and discovered him. And like you said, it's a person with a pure heart. His integrity, the core values and principles that he has. It's just been, what can you say about somebody like that? Other than we need more people like him that are in the public life.
Ron Paul was, in running his campaign to get elected, the strategy that he did, as much as he wanted to campaign on ending the Fed from day one for congressional, but, they did a polling in his district, and it was the biggest concern was traffic tickets. So his campaigning to get elected as a congressional candidate was really strategic. He listened to what the people wanted, even if it was just traffic tickets, and that's what he campaigned on. And that's what makes Ron Paul so great, is he listens to what the people want. And I feel that in the future we need to have more people like Ron Paul run state, federal, congressional races. And we look forward at Free and Equal working with leaders from Paul Festival across the spectrum to inspire people to run for office. And in the upcoming weeks we'll be hopefully or month launching a nationwide database at freeandequal.org, andequal.org. And we're going to let every single candidate running for office, we're going to highlight the corporate special interest money that they're going to have, special interest money that each candidate gets. And we want to build that platform so individuals like maybe you, Bryan, some of our leaders can actually run for state, for board. Congressional is key. I ran for Secretary of State back in 2010 in California as a libertarian. And so it just really, I really commend Ron Paul, Ralph Nader. I worked out since 2008 National Ballot Act Coordinator to get him on the ballot. These kind of advocates, I feel, will come together for the greater cause.
Yeah, and that's, as you're alluding to, one of the biggest points of Paul Festival here is to bring all these different people together, because liberty goes across the spectrum. It's not just Republican or just Democrat. There's some things that that us liberty-minded people share with the Democrats, we share with the Republicans, libertarians. As far as me running for office, I doubt I'll ever actually run for office. But what I would do, and I've been trying to encourage a friend in my local area, is to run for sheriff, and I would campaign manage for him and help him get elected as sheriff. I saw a sheriff speak at Freedom Palooza a couple weeks ago, and of course we all know about Sheriff Richard Mack, and I see a lot of the importance in that position of sheriff. So from my point of view, I think after Paul Festival we'll put a focus on getting somebody in my local area into the position of sheriff, and I would help people with their campaign for other positions, whether they wanted to be Congress or city councilman or something like that. So I think that would be where my position would be best served, is helping somebody in that regard. But I think it's very important for groups like yours and for just people out there to get involved with the system, get involved at the local level,